The best way to get better is to practice. And in this example, we're going to be working with margins and paddings in our CSS to help move elements around and position where we want them. These starter files are available for download using a link provided below in the description. We'll give you about 5 seconds so you can pause and then download that file and then either choose to follow along in the video or to try it on your own and then check your answers. All right, so let's get started. So inside my 03-03 HTML file, you notice my only to do is to open up 03-03 CSS file and make the changes there. You notice that this is available inside my CSS folder, and I already have it open in my tab here at the top, so I'm going to go right there. Inside my CSS file, I have a comment up at the top. You notice that CSS comments are different than HTML comments, and I cannot put an HTML comment inside of CSS, so I've done this. It's a slash and a star, my comment text, and it ends with a star and a slash. All right, so what does it want me to do? So the first thing I need to do is add a selector for both my HTML and my body tags. So I'm going to come over here, create a new line. I'm going to say HTML, comma, body. This says this rule set of my CSS, if I'm either the HTML or my body tag, that's what the comma means, either one of these will get these values. And I'm just going to set margin equal to 0. Put a semicolon at the end of my rule, and then I'm going to say padding is equal to 0. So what I've done is I've just said I'm not going to have any margin or padding. And we'll show you what those are in just a second. The way I'm going to show you is by looking at how they're handled a little bit differently based upon my header and my footer. So let's go down to my header real quick. I'm going to add a new rule, and here I'm going to set my padding, and I can set padding for either all sides or go based upon left, right, top, or bottom. In this case, I want padding bottom. I'm going to set it to be 25 pixels. Then for my footer, I'm going to add a new rule. I'm going to choose margin dash top. So very similar. I can choose it for all my sides or just a single side and choose 25 pixels. Now I can also go in and say margin and then define 4 different values, or even 2 different values if I want to define top and bottom, left and right, or top, right, bottom, left, depending upon if I choose 2 values or 4. We're going to keep it really simple here, make this easy to read by doing margin dash top and padding dash bottom. Now, how does this make it easy to see what I'm doing? Well, I'm going to come over here to my file, right click, reveal in File Explorer, then I'm going to open up this file. And now you're going to notice a couple of quick things. Number one, my HTML by example has a lot more space down at the bottom. That is because padding adds space inside of what we call our HTML block. Inside our HTML block, we have the content that we show, but we also have the padding that's going to be, in this case, allow you to see the background color. So we see our background color and we move our content away from the text inside of it. Now, if I don't want to have the background color, I can use margin. That's what I did with my footer. So I have my footer. It has its content, the padding, which is default. Then we have our border. So the next layer out. Then we have our margin. And I put 25 pixels, and that's almost the same as the size of my font for my paragraph. And when it has a space after a paragraph, so you don't see a big change there. So let's change that real quick. I'm going to come back over here. Go to my CSS file, change my top margin. Instead of being 25 pixels, I'm going to choose 50 pixels. Go back to my browser, reload, and you can see how it moves it down even further. No background color, just further separation from it. Now you might say, well, what about that header? I have that white bar at the top. Well, that's the margin for the top. So I'm going to fix this real quick, and we're going to do it in 2 different ways. First off, we're going to go up here to our header and do margin dash top. I'm going to set it to 0. Notice when I set things to 0, I don't have to specify, is it pixels or rims or percentage? It's just 0. I'm also going to do the same thing for my site title. Margin dash top 0. Go back to my browser window, reload, and you see how it brought it all up. And so now we don't have those white spaces anywhere. except for the footer at the bottom, and that's okay. So a lot of times our footer is not forced to be the bottom of our page, and that allows us to know when the page ends, we can scroll, etc. We can force it to the bottom with other CSS if we want to. However, to effectively do that, we also need to use other tags to help us organize and group our information, such as the main tag and more. And we're going to show you how to put those into our HTML page in our next video, which you can click on a link of that video that's on your screen now.